this is Poindexta, and once again, the critics were right.
You don't know me.
One of the biggest understatements in recent cinematic history is that movies based on DC comics just aren't as good as the movies based on Marvel comics. That's not to say the Marvel Cinematic Universe is entirely perfect or anything, but DC's recent big screen outings more often than not pale in comparison and stand out for all the wrong reasons. If it wasn't the lengthy messianic Man of Steel with its alienated, dark and mature tone and infamous disregard for human lives during the final battle, then it was the overcomplicated and trying too hard Batman v Superman, which managed to not only mischaracterise two iconic superheroes, but also tried to cram in too many DC fan favourite characters and storylines in one flick at the cost of the audience's emotional investment. No prizes for guessing what the overall fan and critical responses to those movies were. So when Suicide Squad was set to roll out this year, the Warner Brothers marketing team went into overdrive as they tried to make this movie seem different from its predecessors. More colourful, more trendy, just more fun in general. You remember the trailers that came out for this film, right? You know, the ones with all those cool, bright colours and visual effects, and every other character spat in witty one-liners, even though they don't actually appear in the final movie. But that doesn't matter because Bohemian Rhapsody's playing in the background, so it's gotta be awesome, right? But if there's anything that we cinema-goers have learned after the publicity fiasco that was the Ghostbusters reboot, it's that trailers nowadays don't mean shit, as they very rarely represent the movie they're trying to advertise in a complete and accurate light. And needless to say, I was sceptical of the Suicide Squad hype train from the very beginning. The fact that this movie was chiefly inspired by the version of Suicide Squad as depicted in the early days of DC Comics' New 52, aka the most polarising comic book universe reboot in recent years, only convinced me further that this was going to suck. And what do you know? I was right! I saw the movie last week and came to the honest, non-biased conclusion that it indeed sucked. Why does it suck, you may ask? Well, allow me to elaborate in this very special Poindexta vlog/rant on Suicide Squad. Following on from the events at the end of Batman v Superman, the world has completely changed now that everybody knows superheroes exist, but the US government is panicking because, to paraphrase a little bit, what if the next Superman was evil? What if he decides to fly in one day and blow up the White House? Who's going to stop him? Okay, first of all, Superman saved the world twice already, and you're still running the fear campaign? I know that DC's trying to acknowledge the controversial Man of Steel climax and address all the lives that were lost in conflict, but it's been 3 years and y'all still won't shut up about how Superman was dangerous. We can't let anything like that happen again. Well, what about the grown-ass man in a bat costume going around Gotham murdering criminals and branding their bodies? Yeah, in case you haven't seen the last movie, Batman kills people now. Okay, if you want to get pedantic about it, he has killed people before in previous incarnations, but not like this.
Not like this.
Second of all, you're the government. You're supposed to prevent this shit from happening. I know this whole powerful being from another world thing is still new and scary to all of you, but you could at least try to think diplomatically instead of just pulling the trigger on every illegal alien who steps foot into America who doesn't know the rules because they weren't born there. Oh. Hashtag make Metropolis great again. Along comes US intelligence officer Amanda Waller, who decides to fight fire with fire and recruit a team of the absolute worst, most dangerous villains and criminals out there and send them off to defeat this hypothetical evil Superman. And if anything goes wrong or something happens to them, then they get blamed for the fallout, so the government still looks good either way. This quote-unquote Suicide Squad consists of marksman and assassin Deadshot, bank robber Captain Boomerang, pyrotechnic El Diablo, masked vigilante Katana, the monstrous Killer Croc, and the Joker's equally insane girlfriend, Harley Quinn. But after the arrival of a dark, mysterious entity with the desire to destroy humanity, the squad start to question the dubious nature of the mission they've been sent on. Will this crack team of cunning, despicable misfits with nothing to lose manage to pull through in time and work together in the face of disaster, or die trying? Okay, so let's start with one of the movie's few redeeming features, the formidable, indomitable Amanda Waller. Poor Viola Davis. She's trying so hard to keep this sinking ship afloat, and she seems to be the only one in the cast trying to give a sincere, grounded, almost award-worthy performance. Even though this is just a summer blockbuster, Davis probably took one look at the script and thought to herself, fuck it. This isn't the greatest role I've been given, but goddammit, I'm going to pull this off with the absolute best of my abilities and show all these whippersnappers I'm starring alongside what a true actor looks like. And I gotta hand it to her. She did the character justice, and I enjoyed every moment she was on screen. And then we've got Will Smith, who is literally playing the same damn character we've seen him play a million times before. Deadshot wasn't a bad character and his backstory was okay, but he had way more interesting storylines in the original comics, and there's something about the whole struggling single parent who leads a dangerous life of crime just to protect their only child thing that's so cliched and feels a little reductive. The best scene involving Deadshot, if not the best scene in the entire film, is when he and his daughter are walking down Gotham late at night when suddenly they're both cornered by Batman. Deadshot tries to fight him and pulls out his gun until his daughter stands in between them and begs him not to shoot. Shaken and shattered, he willingly surrenders to the authorities while tearfully apologising to his daughter. This was the closest this film came to delivering a genuinely emotional and powerful scene. It honestly felt like something out of the comics or even Batman the Animated Series. It was that good. If only they got rid of the whole movie but released that one scene as some sort of DC Cinematic Universe short. I would pay full money just to watch that moment on its own. However, as good as this scene was, it was also a depressing reminder of what DC Cinematic Universe could have been. No, what should have been, damn it. The rest of the cast was just blah. Captain Boomerang and Killer Croc were wasted in this film. They look and act nothing like they do in the comics. Boomerang wasn't really comic relief as far as I know, and Killer Croc definitely isn't some mute brute who behaves like a total Dumbo.
I threw a rock at him.
At least not for the most part anyway.
It was a big rock.
El Diablo was one of the few characters I did kind of like. He seemed sympathetic at first because he's the only one in the squad who actually regrets the things he's done in the past, and he doesn't want to use his firepower to kill people ever again. But much later on, and this is getting into spoiler territory, we find out that in a moment of rage, he killed his wife and children. And then I stopped giving a damn. Like, I know he's all remorseful and shit, but whatever, man. You still murdered your family. Mostly because of your fire powers, but also because of whatever anger issues you already had. You're an arsehole. That's the biggest problem right there. All of these characters are arseholes. They start off as arseholes, they go back the course of the film as arseholes, and in the end, spoiler alert, they're still arseholes. Oh, and Katana was just there all of a sudden. Yeah, she just jumps on the plane as they're heading off to their mission, and we briefly get her backstory. Her husband was murdered, she's looking for revenge, and her sword contains the souls of her enemies. But that's about it. I am not exaggerating when I say that she does absolutely nothing in this movie. Her motivation and side were unclear because at first I thought she was part of the FBI, but then again in a loose way she's also part of the Suicide Squad, I guess. And when they have their big third act falling out, she goes off with them instead of the FBI, but she doesn't interact with anyone, so what was the point of her character? There's no explanation as to what her purpose is within the narrative or why she's even there. And if there was, then it was almost certainly cut out of the film during the final stages of production, thus reaffirming her pointlessness. Now, although most of the characters are, to put it bluntly, evil, The real antagonists of the movie turn out to be the Enchantress and her brother, whose name I don't think they ever said. He's just that guy. And it's kind of funny how even though these two gods, metahumans, whatever, are siblings, he's a lot buffer and taller and he just towers over his tiny human-sized little sister. Well, maybe that's it. Maybe he's the older of the two, so obviously he's going to be bigger than her. I don't know. So the Enchantress was played by Cara Delevingne, and her acting was terrible. Thankfully, she doesn't appear often, but when she does, she's either this bored-looking, gyrating voodoo lady zoning off into the distance and speaking what few lines she has in this deep, mugging, strangely British, even though she's apparently from South America, accent of hers. Or, when she's playing the woman who's possessed by her, Dr. June Moon, she's wearing these cartoonishly big glasses and a suit that looks 2 sizes too big on her, all of which makes her look like a 16-year-old on work experience. And this character is basically reduced to being the love interest of this soldier guy named Rick Flag, who's been sent by Waller to keep an eye on the squad and kill them if they step out of line. I wish the film climaxed with June managing to find a way to conquer the Enchantress by herself, or at the very least maintain a balance with her so that they can join the Suicide Squad properly. But that doesn't happen, obviously, which is kind of a plus, because then we'd have to see more of Cara's terrible acting. Although June would have at least had more character development than just being the hero's girlfriend or the human vessel of the villain. Speaking of shitty villains, let's talk about the Joker. Worst on-screen portrayal of this character ever. They turned an iconic comic book villain into a mugging white boy pimp. For the last few months, I've been reading all these horror stories online about Jared Leto's creepy on-set antics. Aside from sending used condoms, anal beads and dead pigs to his co-stars, he also gave Margot Robbie a live rat and even freaked out the director, David Ayer, with his fucked up attempt at method acting. But as much as I despise Leto's behaviour, I at the very least hoped that his edgier than thou nonsense would pay off, and that his version of the Joker would genuinely be intimidating and scary and bring something new to the table. The Joker appears in this film for 8 minutes. 8 whole minutes. Maybe a little bit longer if they release the extended cut, but 8 minutes! I cannot believe that Jared Leto harassed his colleagues and acted like a pretentious nutjob for an 8-minute cameo appearance. He doesn't even deserve to appear on the posters, to be honest, because the Joker contributed nothing to the film. Nothing, nothing, nothing. The Joker should be an easy character for any old actor to get. He's the polar opposite of Batman, the Technicolor to his monochrome, the childlike gaudiness to his adult sophistication, the immovable object of chaos to his unstoppable force of justice. And that is what makes him so nuanced. But Jared Leto doesn't seem to understand this. He just plays the Joker like some crazy streetwise gangster, and he doesn't really shine in the role the way that people like Jack Nicholson and Heath Ledger did. I mean, how in God's name are we supposed to find this incarnation of the Joker threatening in any way? He's a skinny albino guy with a grill, for crying out loud. A bloody grill! But I will give Leto this. His portrayal of the Joker was the only thing in the whole movie that genuinely made me laugh out loud in the cinema. But not intentionally. Jared delivers his lines with a needlessly stilted emphasis. He has no charisma, no chemistry with what few actors he interacts with on screen, and even his iconic laugh sounds forced and non-threatening. I could liken his performance to that of a cartoon character, but that would be an insult to Mark Hamill's incredible depiction of the Joker from the animated series. And while we're still on the subject of the Joker and the animated series, it's time that I brought up the one character I was actually looking forward to seeing on the big screen at long last. My favourite character in the DC universe, Harley Quinn. Oh, Harley, what have they done to you? Actually, I shouldn't even call her by that name, because that wasn't Harley. Oh no. Margot Robbie, bless her heart, tried her gosh darn best to give a bubbly, energetic performance in this movie, and I'd be lying if I said that she didn't do a good job or anything. But at the end of the day, the Harley Quinn that I saw on screen was not the Harley Quinn I knew and loved. To start off with something nitpicky, her design sucked. Granted, her costume was a million times better than the one she wore in New 52, but it was still this scrappy, multicoloured, hot topic disaster. Honestly, I wanted to see her wear the old red and black jester costume, and she briefly does, but only for this short scene that's supposed to be a homage to the iconic Alex Ross painting of Joker and Harley. But the Harley Quinn nickname doesn't make sense if she's not dressed up like a Harlequin. Even Captain Boomerang got to wield his namesake at one point in the movie. Why didn't we see Harley in her jumpsuit and hat and mask and everything? That would have been so cool. But instead we got those shorts and the way the camera lit at her shorts. Secondly, and more importantly, I hated the way she was written. If anyone isn't familiar with Harley's backstory, the basic gist is that she was once a psychiatrist at Arkham Asylum who was manipulated by the Joker into falling in love with him, and so she donned this alter ego to assist him in his crimes, while hoping deep in her heart that maybe he'll one day reciprocate her feelings for him. This is more or less the same in Suicide Squad, except there's this pointless addition of a scene in which the Joker abducts Harley after he's escaped and electrocutes her brain. I guess to make her crazy like him. But there's another scene later on in which he pushes her into this barrel of toxic sludge. Okay, first of all, Harley has 2 origin stories in this film. Why? And which one was supposed to be her breaking point, so to speak? If the toxic sludge was the thing that drove Harley nuts, then presumably it would have done the same thing to the Joker, which means that the Killing Joke is now canon in the DC cinematic universe, even though that backstory in the original graphic novel was supposed to be ambiguous. And why doesn't Harley have much agency as she did in her original backstory? Oh, I have so many goddamn questions relating to this depiction of the character, and I haven't even got round to the way the movie shows her relationship with the Joker. And this is where I feel the most conflicted as a fan of Harley Quinn, because on the one hand, I actually like seeing her and the Joker act in a more coupley light. They're both insane enough to actually want to stick together, they're treated more like equals here, and in previous incarnations they've actually worked off each other pretty well. I say in previous incarnations because here Margot Robbie and Jared Leto have about as much chemistry as a fresh cup of tea and a carton of gone-off milk. But at the end of the day, the relationship between Harley and the Joker is a horribly abusive one. And yet the movie does nothing to expand on this fact or show the darker aspects of their relationship in any way. Nor does it allow Harley to properly escape her situation and become a better, braver person on her own with Suicide Squad. She comes across as this pitiful, codependent young woman who's willing to tag alongside anyone if they'll let her, but this never results in any character development. The reason why Harley Quinn is such a fan favourite character, aside from her personality and enthusiasm, is because she eventually escapes from the Joker and becomes her own person. But Suicide Squad still sees her as just the Joker's girlfriend. Nothing more, nothing less. You see this t-shirt I'm wearing right now? It is based off the comic book version of the Batman animated series episode Mad Love, which also happens to be one of my favourite DC stories of all time. I love Bruce Timm's artwork, I love Paul Dini's storytelling, and most of all, I love the comic tragedy of Harley Quinn. The story ends on the bittersweet note as an injured Harley is escorted back to the asylum, having barely survived a violent encounter at the hands of the Joker. She vows internally to turn over a new leaf and leave the craziness behind her, finally seeing him as the murderous psychopath he really is. That is, until she sees a flower on her desk alongside a get well card signed by an all too familiar J, and immediately falls back in love with him. This movie ends with the Joker breaking Harley out of prison as she happily leaps into his arms, and we the audience all have to pretend that there's absolutely nothing wrong with this scenario whatsoever. Enough said. Here are some more things I hated about Suicide Squad. The soundtrack was lame as hell, and the way it tried to represent each character of a different song during the beginning of the film was so cheesy and cliched. It sounded like I was listening to someone's Spotify playlist set to random. You could tell that DC was trying to do what Guardians of the Galaxy did and have lots of classic rock songs in the background, but in that film it actually made sense in context because of Star-Lord's mixtape. While here, it's just like, oh look, we're playing House of the Rising Sun for Deadshot because he's trapped in prison. Now we're playing You Don't Own Me for Harley Quinn because she's a strong, independent female character or some shit. Next we're going to play Without Me by Eminem, where the Suicide Squad are getting ready to kick butt. Look at how cool and edgy we are. Whee! And the plot keeps getting more and more ridiculous until we come to the climax, which literally rips off the original Ghostbusters, down to the possessed girlfriends, the swirling clouds, the dark supernatural forces terrorising the whole city, everything. So there's this scene in which the Enchantress brainwashes everyone and makes them imagine their ideal lives, although El Diablo is the only one who immediately snaps out of it. And the ensuing conflict between the main characters is as follows. Wow, this is perfect. It's just what I've always dreamed of. You're being brainwashed, snap out of it. Okay, no development, no internal conflict about how none of them can ever get what they want or be normal. Just, none of this is real. We're all still bad guys, so let's go save the world. Wow. And the way that the Enchantress is finally defeated is a complete and utter letdown. Harley stabs her with Katana's sword. I don't know why Katana couldn't have been the one to deliver the finishing blow. And Rick Flag crushes this ancient artefact, which is supposed to represent her heart. Something that literally any other character could have done a lot sooner so that none of this shit would have happened. In fact, I think there's a brief scene in which Amanda Waller tries to crush the heart herself. Why the fuck didn't that kill Enchantress? Was there some plot convenient reason why only Flag could have killed her at that moment in time? Because all I can think of right now is how completely meaningless the existence of the Suicide Squad really is if just about anybody could have stopped the Enchantress at any moment in time. This, I believe, is Suicide Squad's biggest flaw. Its pointlessness. When all the main characters are villains, why should we care about them? If you want to make a story where the bad guys are the heroes, then you've got to find a way to make the audience sympathise with them and not just by giving them cool individual backstories. Everyone, both in-universe and out, has to care about the situation they're in. That's how good character development works. But Suicide Squad is nothing like that. None of these characters really get along with each other, nor are they given enough time to do so. Very few of them feel remorse for the bad things that they've done, and the only reasons why everybody decides to work together during the climax is either for their own personal interests or that nobody else is saving the world, so we might as well do it. The idea that such an unlikely and unlikable group of characters could possibly become one big family by the end does not come across well on screen. And by the time the epilogue rolls in, everyone's either back in prison or going about their old lives, with no sense of being changed by the experience at all, or even missing their former allies. Nobody seems to care that they just saved the world. That's what I hate most about Suicide Squad. The idea that everything our heroes did was for naught, and that their actions didn't change the world in any way. And I hate to say this, but after giving it some serious thought, I think I actually kind of preferred Man of Steel to this movie. Don't get me wrong, it was still long and boring and had no reason at all to exist, but at least it tried to do something different and dared to explore the Superman mythos in a darker, more mature way. Granted, it fucked up, but at least it didn't fuck up as badly as Suicide Squad. You hear me, internet? Man of Steel was technically a better movie than Suicide Squad. In my opinion, anyway. In conclusion, I did not like this movie very much. Suicide Squad is the Poundland version of a Marvel film. It attempts to mix the black comedy and violent action of Deadpool with the bright colours and unique ensemble casting of Guardians of the Galaxy. But the end result falls flat due to its lack of originality or depth, choppy editing and weak storytelling. Despite the film's optimistic effort to appear more light-hearted than its gloomy predecessors, as well as the enthusiastic performances of certain cast members, it unfortunately seems that a change of direction does not a good franchise make. And while Suicide Squad may have unexpectedly gained a small fan base upon release, it's a hollow victory at best, and only time will tell if DC can find a way out of their funk and start making legitimately good movies again. All in all, Suicide Squad may not be the worst superhero film of all time, but it could have been so much better than the rushed, pandering mess I saw on a big screen. This movie's not going to kill you, it's just going to hurt you really, really bad. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and comment on this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and follow me on all appropriate social media sites. If you actually liked Suicide Squad and disagreed with whatever I said in this video, then feel free to write to me about how I'm not a real DC fan and how I should have just switched off my brain and stopped taking the movie so seriously. But please bear in mind that I'm probably not going to respond to your message because it's my opinion and I don't give a shit about what you think. So until next time, this is Poindexta, and God, I hope Wonder Woman doesn't suck.